Knock 'em out cold, my friends. Ukrainian forces have shot down a Russian general flying a ground attack mission over Luhansk. A Russian general in a fighter jet. This is the highest ranking pilot to be shot down over Ukraine. Major General Kanamat Potashev was knocked out cold in eastern Ukraine, Luhansk region. He was piloting an Su-25 and he was shot down with a Stinger missile. This guy goes way back because he was actually retired for a long time, and it wasn't an honorable retirement from the Russian armed forces. He was dismissed in 2012. Why? In 2012, Potashev ran tactical air exercises in the Bezovich air base in Karelia, in Russia. He decided, without the medical examination and proper training, to fly an Su-27 fighter jet. He demanded the controls of the plane to be handed over to him. There were two pilots. And then he started to perform tricks with the plane, to put it simple, tricks. He started doing stunts with military aircraft just for fun. He did those tricks until he didn't do them anymore because the plane crashed. Both of the pilots ejected at the height of 500 meters before impact. Plane was destroyed. Major General was dismissed from the army without honors. But now, since Russia is losing pilots at an alarming rate and they cannot train them fast enough, they're bringing back dishonorably discharged pilots, including Major General Potashev. This guy is like Russia's Top Gun Maverick, and he was knocked out cold a few days ago. My friends, it is time to thank the Patreons, the people who support the channel. Every second video I upload is demonetized because it's about war. I want to name you 10 new Patreons, butchering their names as an Estonian. Pomona Bill 220, numbers in Estonian. Erik Greve, Gabriel Martin, that's very Estonian actually. Jodi Foster, Frank Mario Damiano, I'm guessing you're Italian. Howard Scher, Sak Gerardi, Donovan Reaper Wings, Tusti Pilebar. Tusti is not a name we get in Estonia. Tusti. Tusti. Markus Smith. Smith means Sepp in Estonian, as the metal work, you know, Smith, metalsmith. Sepp, Markus Sepp, which is a very Estonian name. Thank you to all of these people for becoming Patreon. If you become tier 10 or above Patreon, I'll be butchering your name with my Estonian pronunciation. Knock 'em out cold, my friends. People in a concert in Russia, St. Petersburg, started chanting Hui vainie, which means the war, or the war is shit. You can translate it many different ways, but it's always the war is bad. This is very rare in Russia, and there's no surprise it happens in the most open and westernized Russian city, St. Petersburg. It is also very dangerous because there are actually laws now in Russia that prohibit talking negatively about Putin or the war. You could actually go to jail for over 10 years for this. And Russia is truly transitioning back to Soviet Union. So these people at this concert are very brave. You could get arrested for this in Russia, but I hope this mentality spreads outside of the young generation and outside of the big cities to the countryside also, where there are older people and middle-aged people who get all of their news from television, which is strongly under Russian state propaganda machine. These people outside of St. Petersburg, in the countryside, they believe that Russia is doing a big favor to Ukraine right now. What's going on with the front lines? I haven't covered this for a long time, so it's time to do so. Most dangerous situation for Ukraine lies in Popasna. First of all, Russian plan was to take Kiev, take Mykolaiv, take Odessa. They failed totally. They pulled out of north. Then their goal was to take all of eastern Ukraine, and they started with Izium. To connect Izium with the Mariupol front. They failed in Izium. All of their attacking potential in there was neutralized by Ukraine. Now their third goal, you know, this is the third time they have scaled down, that's what they do because they failed with their big plans, is from Popasna. Ukrainians pulled out from Popasna about a week ago, and Russians have been pushing there, trying to close the Severodonetsk front surrounding the Severodonetsk city. Taking of that city is like the main biggest goal of the war right now, because they have failed in everything else. Everything they have is in the Popasna vicinity and pushing north to close the gap. In the coming week or two, it will be clear if they are able to take the Severodonetsk city. The rest of the front is quite static. Russian side is heavily bombing Ukrainians with artillery, but they're not actively attacking with infantry anymore, or tanks or armored personnel carriers, because they don't have cohesive units that have trained together. Most tactical battalion groups have been damaged so bad or knocked out cold out of the war that they can defend, they cannot attack anymore. Let's look at some cool videos. We have heard about Switchblade 300, Switchblade 600. It's a United States kamikaze drone, a loitering munition. It can loiter over 40 minutes and act as a reconnaissance drone, and when spotting a Russian tank or BTR or any kind of vehicle, it can dash down and explode and destroy it. Has cameras, has sensors, has GPS, it has everything. It's a high-tech weapon. For a long time there was no videos about it, but now the first ever Switchblade kill video is in front of our eyes. Russian tank crew are sitting on top of that tank, and according to Ukrainians they were actually drinking beer. We can see the Switchblade drone dashing down into the tank. Target destroyed. Russia is running out of tanks. From the Russian armed forces, they have stated that they will start using T-62s from their warehouses to be deployed to Ukraine. Now, T-62s were produced in the Soviet Union 1961 to 1975. That means these tanks are obsolete and have been staying in the warehouses, never run, never started for 30 plus years. Before that, they were in the service and they ran. Most of them are broken down, and those that are not broken down, they're old, they're obsolete. And the fact that Russia is not stating that they will make new T-90 or T-80 battalion tactical groups, they use T-62s, lets us know that Russia is running out of T-80s and T-90s, the modern tanks. Hell, even T-72s, which are not considered modern. It is no surprise because there are photo and video evidence of about 1,000 Russian tanks destroyed. I'm not talking about the Ukrainian Defense Ministry numbers of 1,200 tanks destroyed. I'm talking about the Western analytics who only count photos and video proof of destruction of vehicles. 1,000 tanks. It's no surprise Russia has to resort to outdated, ancient equipment. I'm not surprised if we see BMP-1s very soon. In this next video we see another R-18 Ukrainian-made drone that carries 4 explosives, making these dumb explosive grenades, shells, into a very high-tech modernized weapon. It has a night vision, it spots a BMP next to the forest, and note how well you can see with the night vision. It's full pitch black outside, you can see everything, you can see the field, the BMP, the forest. R-18 drops its present and boom, the BMP goes up in flames. And when it's switched to the regular camera, you can actually see nothing except for the flames. This night vision is really good. On paper, every Russian BMP-3 and T-72 and up has a night vision, but in reality, they don't. There are some countries in the European Union that talk about making peace with Russia, with Ukrainian territorial concessions to Russia, for example, Eastern Ukraine and Crimea. One of them is France. French President Emmanuel Macron has been calling Vladimir Putin, I think, one too many times. They call him serial caller. He keeps calling him, although he's a war criminal. This attitude shows me as an Estonian that European countries do not know how Russia as a state works. Estonia has been living next to Russia for 30 plus years, and we were under the Soviet Union for half a century and more. If you give in to Russia in any way, they would take more. That is how this militarized state works. There is no talking with Russia. There was no talking with Nazi Germany. These two states are very similar with their ideals. Estonian Prime Minister Kaja Kallas is actively speaking out against all such nonsense. And I believe this is the truth. Any territorial loss, like Crimea, Eastern Ukraine, Donbass, any territorial loss to Russia in the name of peace is a victory for Moscow. That is actually Moscow's plan, to take as much ground as possible, to have a strong negotiating position to make peace, holding on to the occupied areas. That is their plan, and I'm afraid some European leaders are playing into that plan, not knowing how Russia works. Ukraine gives us another R-18 adventure. I know you guys love it, and I do also. We see it hovering over a Russian, what looks like a squad-sized unit, chilling on the sunlight. It drops its present and boom, two of the dudes get knocked out cold. Later we see them being carried to two Lada cars that have Z symbols on them. These cars are just waiting for another present to be delivered. There are a lot of foreign journalists present in Ukraine, documenting the war and documenting Russian war crimes. In this video you can see one of these journalist groups driving around a car that has a huge press with white written on the bonnet. But that doesn't stop the Russian artillery from shelling them, and we get this Call of Duty looking video of shells landing and they're speeding, avoiding obstacles. Mines play a very big role in this conflict. Both sides are using them widespread, and in this video we can see Ukrainian side planting mines, anti-tank mines, into an ambush area. We were taught the exact same technique. You dig a hole, you put the mine in it, you put the fuse in it, you put a little bit of dirt on it. That is it. Simple as that. It's one of the simplest things in the military, actually, to plant an anti-tank mine. And yes, it was effective, BTR destroyed. My friends, I appreciate you being there and watching these videos. As always, I encourage you to think for yourself, to take any information from anywhere about this war with a grain of salt, because there are a lot of propaganda on both sides. Knock 'em out cold, my friends. Slava Ukraini.